Indiana is officially knocking on the door, and our beloved franchise might just be ready to answer it. But today, an explosive update out of the state capitol could permanently alter the future of this historic team. The stadium standoff has reached its absolute boiling point, and we finally have the massive news every single fan has been waiting for. If you bleed navy and orange and want to stay ahead of every breaking update, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe right now. Are we genuinely prepared to watch a century of football legacy pack up its bags and abandon the state over a bitter stadium dispute? Right now, the anxiety rippling through this fanbase is at an all-time high, and honestly, the frustration is more than justified. For months, we have been held captive by an exhausting tug-of-war regarding where our team will ultimately lay its foundation. Will it be Arlington Heights? Will it be downtown? Or will it actually cross the border? Well, a major clue has just surfaced. Representative Cam Buckner, a prominent figure in the Illinois legislature, recently took to the radio and delivered a message that demands our undivided attention. According to him, the critical legislation required to anchor the team in Illinois is making significant headway, and he genuinely believes it will pass soon. Buckner didn't mince his words during the interview. He painted a clear picture of the reality in Springfield, stating that while an exact timeline remains elusive, the stadium legislation is officially on their punch list. They are actively ironing out the final details as we speak. Naturally, he was careful to avoid promising a specific date, noting quite rightly that artificial deadlines in politics usually breed disappointment. Yet, he made it undeniably clear that the wheels are in motion. The front office is fully aware of the legislature's stance, and Buckner is deeply confident that highly positive news is on the horizon in very short order. Let's read between the lines, though. Even if Buckner danced around the firm date, anyone tracking this saga knows there is a massive soft deadline casting a long shadow over these negotiations. That date is May 31st. This is critical because it signals the end of the current legislative session in Illinois. If the politicians pack up and head home without passing a bill, the entire landscape shifts beneath our feet. You can already sense that the organization's patience has evaporated. They have applied relentless pressure on Illinois lawmakers, and we are finally witnessing a panicked reaction from the state, largely fueled by a very real, very dangerous flirtation with Indiana. Buckner, a native of the city and a proud South Sider, openly admitted his initial heartbreak. For the longest time, he fiercely resisted the Arlington Heights project, desperately hoping the city could rally and broker a hometown deal. But reality is a harsh teacher. That city-centric vision completely unraveled. Now, the state legislature's priority has pivoted from an idealized dream to absolute damage control. As Buckner eloquently phrased it, the emotional tie to this team runs deep. It isn't merely about a century of memories by the lake, it is about the entrenched legacy of the McCaskey family. Losing them would be nothing short of catastrophic. This brings us to a pivotal crossroad in the conversation, and I want to hear directly from you. Question of the day: if the McCaskey family ultimately decides to uproot the franchise and relocate to Hammond, Indiana, will you still buy tickets and support the team, or is crossing state lines an absolute deal-breaker for your loyalty? Let me know exactly where you stand in the comments section below right now. It is genuinely fascinating to observe the shifting posture of politicians who previously stonewalled efforts to freeze tax assessments or offer financial incentives. For so long, a vocal faction of lawmakers essentially told the organization to take a hike, arguing the state's resources were needed elsewhere. But the reality check has finally cleared the bank. First, they recognize that staying within the city limits is officially a dead issue. That bridge has burned to ash. Second, and far more terrifying for Illinois, the franchise has demonstrated a documented, serious willingness to relocate to Indiana. Do not dismiss this as an empty threat. Indiana is not passively hoping for a miracle. They are actively rolling out the red carpet. They have drafted the necessary legislation across the border. They have practically swept the proposed site clean of environmental hurdles. They are dangling a completely viable, highly lucrative deal right in front of the front office. So, why hasn't the team jumped ship? Because, at their core, they still prefer to remain in Illinois. But make absolutely no mistake, if May 31st passes without a signature, the momentum could instantly careen toward the Hoosier state. If I am the state of Illinois, I am absolutely not calling this bluff. Come June 1st, the front office could easily walk away from the table, look at Illinois, and say, "We gave you years to figure this out, and you failed. We are going to Indiana." Losing this historic franchise to a neighboring state wouldn't just be a bad look, it would be a humiliating, generational embarrassment for Illinois representatives, not to mention a devastating blow to the local economy. The writing is on the wall. Lawmakers are finally waking up, finding their footing, and realizing they must keep this team within state lines, even if that means embracing Arlington Heights over the downtown dream. George McCaskey addressed this underlying tension at the recent owners' meetings, offering a rather revealing perspective on fan loyalty. When pressed about the Indiana possibility, he confidently asserted that, in the grand scheme of things, geographical borders won't deter the diehard fans. He pointed to the franchise's rich history, noting the massive adjustment required when they moved from Wrigley Field to Soldier Field. He recalled the temporary relocation to Champaign in 2002 during the Soldier Field renovations. McCaskey firmly believes that whether the new stadium rises in Arlington Heights or Hammond, Indiana, an adjustment period is inevitable, but the fans will ultimately follow. He essentially argued that while a vocal minority will inevitably be upset by any move, the core fandom will remain unshakable. When the Chargers fled San Diego for Los Angeles, they left behind a furious city and lost a massive chunk of their base. McCaskey does not foresee a similar exodus here. He envisions a packed stadium, regardless of whether it sits in Hammond or Arlington Heights. The plain truth is, we are all just exhausted by this drawn-out political theater. The team is tired of it, too. You don't flirt with another state unless you are prepared to make a ruthless business decision. Illinois finally grasps that their stalling tactics have expired. Today, the momentum rests firmly in Illinois' corner, but as this saga has taught us, that could shift in a heartbeat. Now, shifting gears away from the stadium drama, we need to address a highly concerning piece of adjacent news regarding a former fan favorite. Former star wide receiver Alshon Jeffery was officially arrested this week on felony charges of insurance fraud, facing up to 5 years in state prison. TMZ Sports initially broke the story, revealing that the former Super Bowl champion was taken into custody for allegedly concealing or failing to disclose an insurance benefit or payment. According to the reports, Jeffery was booked into jail early Wednesday morning before eventually being released. "We just crossed tax day, and let this serve as a glaring warning sign. When navigating the adult financial world, you simply do not play games with the IRS, tax documents, or insurance claims. Nobody enjoys dealing with these entities, but attempting to cut corners or manipulate the system inevitably catches up to you. The authorities simply do not tolerate fraud." While the microscopic details of this specific situation remain somewhat cloudy, it remains a deeply unfortunate look for a player who was once an absolute hero on the field. You have to wish Alshon the best personally, but this is a nightmare scenario. Risking your freedom over an insurance payout is never worth it. In all likelihood, his legal counsel will negotiate a plea deal or financial settlement to resolve the matter, but it stands as a stark reminder of how quickly life can spiral off the gridiron. With the draft practically knocking on our door and off-field drama swirling around both the stadium and former players, the energy within this fanbase is absolutely electric. We are standing on the precipice of a brand new era, and whatever happens next in the state capitol, we will be right here to break it all down. Have a fantastic weekend, brace yourselves for a wild draft night, and as always, bear down.